Hello and welcome. This is Matthias 76, and together we are decoding the deception. We are continuing our Bible deep dive through the book of Revelation, and we're going to pick up today with chapter 6, verses 3 and 4. And I certainly want to welcome everyone out there who has found us on BitChute. Would love it if you went down below, leave a comment, just say hello. Make sure and subscribe. We're new to BitChute, very excited about how fast things are picking up there. We're also available on Brighteon.com and, of course, our YouTube channel. And we are decoding the deception on all three of those. So if you go to search for us on one, type in Decoding the Deception channel, and you will find us. So we are picking up. We're on the second horseman, the second seal that is being opened up. Remember that first horse that came out in Revelation 6, 1 and 2? It was on a white horse, and it was Jesus riding out, conquering and to conquer. Jesus is always in charge. He's always in control. It is at his command that these seals are opened. He was the one who was worthy to open the book, to open those seals and reveal these truths. So we're at verse 3. When he opened the second seal, I heard the second living creature say, "Come." And out came another horse, bright red, and its rider was permitted to take peace from the earth so that people should slay one another. And he was given a great sword. I'm going to start at the end of that. How sad. So that people should slay one another, and he was given a great sword. That really is very descriptive of what warfare is. People just slay one another. It's a horrible, sad thing that really benefits no one who fights. That's an important truth. We'll come back to that. But the rider comes out on a bright red horse. Red is the color of blood. Red is the color of war. And so what we see here is that this rider was permitted to take peace from the earth. And literally what it says there is that it was given to him to take peace from the earth. That is his purpose. That is what he does. And all of these things, the second, third, and fourth riders of the apocalypse, these are describing things that are emblematic of all history in this world. There's always warfare, there's always famine, there's always death and pestilence and the like. These things are consequences of sin. Very important to understand that. Were it not for sin, these things wouldn't be at play. But these things are also judgments upon sin. And the aim of them being judgments upon sin is that people, by this miserable condition that they find themselves in through war, through famine and poverty and pestilence, that they would turn to God and seek him. That is the goal, the aim of this. I want to talk a little bit about war, that they should take peace from the earth. It's very important to understand when it comes to war, and I'm going to pop up a couple slides here. When it comes to war, the only ones who benefit are the elites. War is used as a weapon. War is, that seems oxymoronic to say war is used as a weapon, but war is used to promote an agenda, and that agenda is never about those who fight. It doesn't matter if you go back to the Roman legions and warfare then, or in modern armies today, those who fight are pawns. They don't benefit anything from what happens. The people who fought in World War II, they don't benefit, but lots of people made money. There were political agendas that were advanced, and it's so important to understand. There are things that you need to get your mind around. War is used as a means whereby the elites promote a one world government. And all you have to do is read their own stuff. Go read the things written by the members of the Council on Foreign Relations going all the way back to 1922. Every war that has been fought since then, and even World War I, what was it Wilson tried to do after World War I? What was he promoting? The League of Nations. When the League of Nations failed to catch on in the United States, the Senate wouldn't ratify it as a treaty. Then, before the people sent to the meetings for the League of Nations over in Europe, before they came home, they got together with their British counterparts and formed what in the United States would become the Council on Foreign Relations, the stated goal of which is a one world government. They believe that if life gets bad enough, if war continues on and on, they believe that we will eventually say, oh, come save us. Let the United Nations or whatever supra organization they come up with come and take care of everything. We submit to you because you can save us from this slaughter that just seems to go on and on and on. And that's why I love this graphic. This graphic shows a banker standing and looking at the carnage, the aftermath of war, and he's not depressed. He's not sad. He's thinking, how can I make this work for me? Hey, we got it here. Now they're ready to accept anything we give them. They're ready to be under our thumbs. To get some insight into war, I recommend, and when I make this video, we're just a few days after the 79th commemoration of the not-so-surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. That's a matter of public record that it was not really a surprise because the guy in the bottom right of the screen, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, knew it was happening. And if you don't know that, then you don't understand the history. I encourage you to watch this video. You can go to this link here on the screen, and I'm going to put that in the video description down below. Watch my video on the not-so-surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. It's very insightful, very important. I also recommend that you go find out online. All you have to do is Google "War is a Racket." It's free out there as a PDF. It's by Major General Smedley Butler. And he was the most highly decorated combatant in the United States in World War I. And he came to understand that war is completely a racket, that what they say it is about and what it is really about are two different things. And all you have to do is look at the record. Don't accept what the history books teach you. The history books are written by foundations funded by the elites, the Carnegies, the Mellons, the Rockefellers, and the Fords. You need to dig in and do your own reading. They will promulgate war, foment it, because it is a means to an end. So what is our illustrious president talking about now? A space force. We need a space force. We need to take it to the stars, this warfare. Such nonsense. Why? Because they're remolding the world, reshaping it to their desire, and warfare is a means whereby they bring that about. A couple of other things I'm going to recommend to you that you go out and find and read. One of them is this book. This is just web browser opened up to Amazon, The Shadows of Power, The Council on Foreign Relations and the American Decline by James Perloff. Very insightful. You can come to understand a great bit of how power is used, war is used to bring about their ends. And this all ties in with this second horse, the red horse of war. I also recommend, if you have not read The Creature from Jekyll Island by G. Edward Griffin, you need to go out on Amazon and buy it and read it. It is a big undertaking to read and get your mind around. It will open your eyes to many things. Go out and get it and read it. Don't let others think for you. The thing I love about these books, Perloff and G. Edward Griffin. They give you the sources. You can go out and research all of it yourself. I have. I read him. He led me to him. He led me to others like Anthony Sutton and others going back further and further and further who have investigated. You need to think for yourself. You need to dig in and look for yourself. You're not going to find it all on YouTube, especially now. It's really hard to teach the truth on YouTube. I strongly recommend that you get out on BitChute, other sources where there isn't the big brother deciding what we can say and what we cannot say. Back to the text. We are in the book of Revelation, and that was all about that bright red horse with its rider permitted to take peace from the earth. And trust me, he has been given a great big sword. Verse 5. When he opened the third seal, I heard the third living creature say, "Come." And I looked, and behold, a black horse, and its rider had a pair of scales in its hand. I heard what seemed to be a voice in the midst of the four living creatures saying, "A quart of wheat for a denarius, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius, and do not harm the oil and the wine." This black horse represents economic persecution. Who holds the scales? The rider on the black horse. Who decides how things get measured out? Not you. It's not you. The elites do that. Those who are in power do that. They decide who gets and who doesn't, who has and who are those who do not have. And the system is rigged. Make no mistake about it. The system is rigged so that money flows from the bottom up. And that's not capitalism as you and I think of it. They use mechanisms well thought out, like the Federal Reserve. Since 1913, before 1913, when there was no Federal Reserve, there was almost no inflation in the United States, and there was no federal income tax. In 1913, both things happened. The Federal Reserve Act was passed in the dark of night, right before Christmas, and then a federal income tax was passed because they had to have some way to make sure the government could pay off the bankers. And understand, with the Federal Reserve, it's 2 lies for the price of 1. It's not federal. It's a private bank. Try to find out who owns it. Have fun with that one. It's not federal, and there are no reserves. They create for fiat currency. And if you want to learn, and if you want to understand that, then you need to go read this book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. It will teach you about fiat currency and how that system works. It works through inflation. Inflation is the single biggest tax that there is. It sucks the life force out of the people at the bottom of the pyramid, and it flows up. Think of this. How many of you out there earn around $100,000? Are you in the lap of luxury? Are you just living the life of Riley? No, because life costs so much more. And here's the other thing. You look into it, truth of the matter is, they're actually lying about what the rate of inflation has been over the last 10, 15 years. It's nothing like what they say it is. You know how I know that? Because I think for myself, and I pay bills, and I go to the grocery store. I shop. Everything costs far more. It's increased in cost far more than what they say the rate of inflation is. Again, they hold the scales in their hands. They determine the information that goes out, but they're in control. They decide who has, they decide who doesn't have. And the end result is wealth is taken from the lower classes and it moves upward. A quart of wheat for a denarius and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius, and do not harm the oil and wine. A quart of wheat is a tiny little bit of wheat, and it's a whole day's wages. This Bible verse, verse 6, here in Revelation 6, is talking about inflation. What is talking about? Verse 7. When he opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth living creature say, "Come." And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and its rider's name was Death, and Hades followed him, and they were given authority over a fourth of the earth to kill with sword and with famine and with pestilence and by wild beasts of the earth. Fourth rider is, this one's named for us. This one's named for us. It's Death. And it says that Hades followed him. Hades, for the ancients, just the people to whom this was addressed, because this wasn't written to you and me. It was written to 7 churches there in Asia Minor. In their worldview and their understanding, Hades is the place of the dead, right? The term Hades is used synonymously in Scripture with hell, but it's where you go when you die, in the underworld. And here, this is the only rider who's not alone. He's riding in death, and Hades is personified, flowing behind him, right? And when you look at the world and get outside of the safe little bubble in which we live in the United States, look around the world and how much of history can be described as death personified with Hades after him riding through the world and through war with the sword, murder, with famine and pestilence, disease, and by wild beasts. It says he killed a fourth of the earth. We think, wow, that's a huge number. Not if you get outside the bubble. It's not. How many people out there are dying of hunger, dying because of disease? There were between 50 to 85 million people who died in World War II. Get your mind around that number, 50 to 85 million. You know how many of them died because of famine and disease? The vast majority of them. Of the 600 and some thousand casualties, I think it's 652,000 casualties suffered in the Civil War. The majority of them were from disease and hunger. So to say that a fourth of the earth was killed with a sword, with famine, with pestilence, and wild beasts of the earth, it might, if anything, be an understatement. So with that, we're going to wrap up our look at the 4 horsemen. I always want to make sure we keep things in proper perspective. Remember who the first horseman is. Remember what he is about. In spite of what we see with war, with economic persecution, with death and Hades, we need to remember who's in charge. Jesus, riding out to conquer and conquering. Jesus always wins, and because he wins, we win. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please share what we're doing here with others. Share it with your friends. Depending on which channel you're watching on, you can copy the link or just click a button and share it on social media. It is through you that we get the word out. YouTube has their great algorithm that promotes things. Guess what? They don't promote me. With Brighteon and with BitChute, it's up to you. I need you to give it a thumbs up or a like and subscribe so that you get notified when I put out more content, and also share it. It means the world to us. Thank you so much for joining. God bless and have a great day.